Welcome to this series called Pseudo Book. It's basically an audiobook, but this is a summary of this story, also known as a pseudo book. Not an audiobook, a pseudo book. Anyways, let's begin. A prodigy at 10, a genius at 15, a common man past 20. This quote itself, I know not where it comes from, but these series of words changed my life ever since I read them. As he looks outside the window, he remembers about his past, of how painfully average he was. He was no one special. He had to work harder than one would normally work. It can be said that his illness that has led him to this hospital bed where he is right now, where he couldn't even move a single inch, was what made him special from all the other people. He felt frustrated. He wanted to be special. But of course, his illness at long last took him to eternal sleep. But as luck would have him, he was given a new life, a rebirth, as one would say. There, he was a man called Siege, or in this case, a child. Although he had the memories of his past life, he was now only a child that had to attend school. With knowledge that surpasses elementary school, he got nothing but 100s on every single test he was given. But with that, he unknowingly attracted this girl named Anya, who was extremely competitive, and with that, for years to come, she would challenge Siege over and over again with test scores. But as a person with memories of an adult who had been through college and life in general, the girl Anya never won in any test competition. But don't be fooled. She got 97% on scores that would make her the number one student in her grade. But unfortunately for her, a cheat existed in her class. That cheat was named Siege. Now, that was just elementary school. On to his middle school days. Siege knows how hard it is to earn money and sorts because, well, he's 28 years old. He's worked a job and he knows how hard it is to earn money. So he wanted to go to a public school, a public middle school, to ease his parents' struggles of a private school money, a private school's fees and stuff like that. But he felt guilty because for some reason Anya said, I'm going to the same school that you're going. And because Siege knows that Anya is a genius, he didn't really want to jeopardize her life by having her follow him into a public school. So in the end, he decided to go to a private school. While he could go through elementary school with no studying at all and get 100s, for the first time during middle school, Siege got his first 97% at a test score. It seems he couldn't go on without studying anymore. With that, Anya was getting a bit more excited because she now saw a chance to beat Sig. Well, that's what she thought, but as Sig started to study a bit more, he started to maintain his 100% perfect scores. Are you sure you're not cheating? Jokingly asked Anya. Yes, Sig was cheating. The cheat was called reincarnation. It was an unfair game that Anya was trying to beat. As time went on, Siege started to see his limits during middle school. Although it was middle school, he had to study quite a bit to maintain his 100% test score. Albeit he was also working a part-time job. During middle school, I don't know where he got that job, but he was working a part-time job. But still, he was struggling a bit. Maybe it's because this is a private school and the education is a bit more advanced than what he normally went through. But then again, he's 28 years old, so he's been to college, so that's not an excuse. But still, he was struggling just a bit. Just a tiny bit. He still got 100%, so yeah. As Sieg struggled, so did Anya. So she swallowed her pride and asked Siege to teach her how to study. As both Siege and Anya were studying together for hours to the point where the teacher had to remind them both that they had to leave school as the sun was setting, Anya said, Siege, you're really good at teaching. After a while, a rumor started to spread and other classmates started to ask Siege to teach them on how to study and help them out. Now, this is a theory, but I think Anya was the one who started this rumor. Or it could be the teacher, it doesn't really matter. As I read the story, I noticed that Siege had no friends at all. But it does make sense. Mentally, Siege is a 28-year-old. So trying to befriend kids of elementary and middle school age was not something you can do. No, I'm not talking morally, but I'm just saying it would be hard to be friends with kids who are immature and stuff like that. So, yeah, Siege had no friends at all. The only person we are shown Siege to interact with is Anya. But then again, while reading, it seems as if Anya is the only one trying to make conversation, while Siege is just a reactionary person. Maybe Anya was trying to help Siege get some friends. It doesn't matter. But that's just speculation on my part. So Siege started to teach his other classmates on how to study. But while he was teaching these middle school kids, Siege started to see the difference between him and these students. The difference between ordinary and genius, I suppose. These middle school kids were starting to understand stuff that Siege started to understand in high school or maybe even in university. The kids would mistake Siege for being the one being a genius, but that was far from the truth. Remember, Siege always gets 100. He's the number one student at his school. And Anya is the number two. So, yeah. In Siege's first life, he failed his university exam twice. The amount of studying he had to do to even pass his university's entrance exam was astonishing. Many, many sleepless nights to the point where he understood the basics of everything. Well, everything that he studied, and he basically just forced himself to learn how to study. So, of course, to a middle schooler who had never been through such an experience would think that Siege was a genius. But still, Siege was given a new type of pleasure he had never felt before. Teaching his fellow classmates the way he thought of teaching was fulfilling for him. As a 28-year-old reincarnator going through elementary school and middle school, he unconsciously started to judge his teachers on how they taught. But of course, he didn't say anything because he was just a kid. Some he agreed with the way they taught, and some he would have changed the way that they taught. So something like this, where he can teach his classmates the way he imagined, he felt a sense of accomplishment. After that study session, Anya dragged Siege to her room to study all night. Because Anya didn't like large gathering, she didn't participate with the study session with her classmates. During this time, Siege started to have feelings for Anya. But as a 28-year-old plus his new life after reincarnation, Siege felt guilty for falling in love with a child. So just like any other normal rational person would do, he made nothing of it and made no advances and just ignored it for years to come. Now, Siege and Anya were now in high school, both on scholarships to a high-ranking high school. And after 9 months in high school, the gap between Anya and Siege started to show. Siege stopped getting 100% on tests that often, and for the first time, Anya and Siege were in equal footing. They had the same test score for the first time in 9 months during high school. It's been 10 years, but the gap has started to shrink. During the second year of high school, for the first time, Siege lost to Anya. Anya was overjoyed to the point where she completely forgot that she had other classes to attend and just ran off somewhere. But Siege knew a time like this would come. His first loss didn't particularly vex or irritate or even frighten him one bit. As Anya grew from elementary to high school, Siege knew that she was a real genius. Unlike someone like Siege, who has been cheating since the day he was born, to even compete with Anya, Anya had the skill, and it was only a matter of time before her abilities would catch up and eventually surpass Siege. Throughout the year, it was a win-lose situation where Anya and Siege were on equal footing. But on the third year of high school, Anya was starting to surpass Siege. Siege's win rate was now lower than 50%. It was no longer a win-lose. It was more like win-lose, win-lose, win-lose. And Siege's win rate was now lower than 50%. But, of course, he did not mind at all. During high school, both Siege and Anya would still study together. And at one point, Siege wanted to stop because he felt a bit frustrated because Anya was going to surpass him, and he wanted to be on equal footings with Anya for just a bit more time, was just a bit more. It wasn't that he was angry or anything. He wanted to be at the same level as Anya, or if not just of an equal footing, you know? And at one point, Siege asked if it was necessary to help each other study. There, Anya said, Siege, your teachings are easier to understand than the teachers. So they both kept helping each other study. But as time went on, Siege started to reach his limits. Although Siege didn't care that Anya surpassed him, he wanted to be with Anya for just a bit more in terms of academic capabilities. As he said in the beginning of the story, on his first life, on his deathbed, he wanted to be special. During one study session, Anya said, I never noticed until recently. We've been together so long, but I finally noticed that you were hiding something all along. For a long time, from the first time we met, for a long, long time, you've been wondering about something. And Anya was right. Siege knew the capabilities of Anya. He knew that one day she would surpass him and no longer be interested in him. So during middle school, Siege would study high school subject. And during high school, Siege would prepare for college. Not wanting to be left behind, Siege wanted to tell her about his cheats, the fact that he had his memories of a past life. But he decided to wait a few more years before telling Anya the secret he had been keeping for all his life. Now was the time for university, and during that time, the teacher and others would start to be impressed and notice Anya, the genius, raking up achievements after achievements and awards, while Siege was now back to being ordinary. Compared to a genius like Anya, Siege was ordinary. And that was the first year of university. During the second year, Anya, of course, wanted to be in the same major as Siege, but Siege convinced Anya that both of them should take majors that they were both interested in. So for the first time in 15 years, Anya and Siege were going to be in different classes. Or so he thought, but as fate would have it, Anya was also interested in the same major Siege was interested in. But was it coincidence? I don't know. During the third year, Anya raked up more accomplishments and awards and was busy with lots of things that she was invited to by other universities and all of those things. While Siege lived a normal university life, the gap that was there was gone, and all you could see was a cannon, a grand cannon. Siege could no longer be compared to Anya. To Anya, that was something that she could not accept, that something that she cannot even fathom. For her entire life, she was looking up at Sieg. Sieg was this iceberg that she could not overcome, thinking that Siege and Anya would be rivals forever till the ends of the world. But that was not reality. Her fantasy was not something an ordinary person like Siege could grant Anya. So, because of that, during the third year, there was a competition going on, and Anya wanted to compete with Siege. For the first time in 3 years, Siege saw a chance to compete with Anya. During his previous life, he had 5 years of experience over Anya in this type of thing that they were doing in the competition. For the first time, Siege saw a gap over Anya once more and thought that he might be able to be in equal footing with Anya. So Siege worked hard to the point where Anya was a bit worried over his health. And in the end, Anya created a massive accomplishment. Her invention was amazing. In terms of test scores, she would be above 100. But she still came in second. Compared to all the other universities participating, she came in second. And Siege, well, he wasn't even selected to go in the competition. He failed. It was snowing that day. A record-breaking amount of snow was falling that day. Siege sat at a bench with Anya, holding his tears, apologizing to Anya for not being able to compete with her, for not being special. So Siege looked into Anya's eyes and told her the secret he had been keeping since the day he was born. The reply Sid couldn't give Anya at the end of high school, he would give it to her now. All he could do was apologize. With no surprise, Anya didn't believe Siege's ridiculous story of being reincarnated, but that aspect didn't really matter. She just wanted to stop Siege from worrying too much. Siege wanted to be special. He wasn't able to accomplish that, but to her, Siege was special. Someone special for her and only her. and she didn't want to part ways with her. That's why, even though she knew Siege was already at his limit, she challenged him to the competition. She just wanted to be with him. Just a bit more. With university life being a lot more hectic, she wanted a way for both of them to be like they used to be back in their childhood. Anyways, it was getting cold, and Siege went back with Anya to her room because Anya said she was not going to leave without Siege. And there they talked a bit more. During this conversation, Anya urged Siege to do something fun, something he wanted. Of course, Siege didn't know what he wanted to do after university. Without guidance, Siege would have most likely continued his job from his previous life. Just like he chose a major he picked in his previous life, he most likely would have walked down a similar path because it would be an advantage for him. Ah, God! Advantages and disadvantages. That's not what I'm talking about. What do you like and what do you enjoy doing? Said Anya. Of course, Siege is human, so during his second life, he walked a path, not for him, but a path that he would have an advantage in, not looking at the bigger picture. So Anya gave him a suggestion. The path suited for you is teacher, said Anya. Years later, Siege became a teacher. Not someone special, not something special. He just became a normal teacher, while Anya became a university professor. Siege walked such an ordinary life, but what matters is that it is comfortable, that he feels comfortable walking this path. This story is the basis of my development during my high school life. When I discovered this story, it changed my life forever. I was just like Siege, except I wasn't 28 years old. I was a high schooler and I wanted to be special. A prodigy at 10, a genius at 15, a common man past 20. I couldn't call myself these words, but I was above average. I was an honors and AP student. And I was going to attend college during high school, but there was not enough students, so that program got canceled. I was trying too hard to do things that didn't really matter. I wanted to be special, but after I read this novel, I came to the conclusion that being ordinary is not a bad thing as long as you're comfortable with it. And now I am 20 years old. I am past high school. And I decided not to go to college. Not because of the story, by the way. I was simply afraid of college. The amount of money needed and the amount of time, it was just scary. I just couldn't fathom getting a student loan with that much money. Student loan was just way too scary. And I was not smart enough to get full scholarships or anything of those sorts. So, yeah. In the end, I am comfortable with this life. I moved out of my parents' house at the age of 19 and I am comfortable. So far. Don't get it twisted though. I have ambitions and I have goals that I want to do and accomplish in this lifetime. But at the same time, I'm taking my time. I am content if I don't accomplish my goals. It's okay to be ordinary as long as I'm comfortable. Anyways, if you want to read this full thing, remember this is just a summary. I didn't include every single information. It's just a summary. This is not a replacement for the story. So on the link below, there should be a fan translation of the story that I made the summary of. Anyways, thank you for listening. Jane.